There are some stories you're not supposed to hear late at night. Not because they're fake, but because once you hear them, your brain starts connecting dots it was never meant to see. If you're listening to this alone, keep the lights on. Because what happened to me didn't end at that gas station. It followed me. My name is David. I'm not telling this for sympathy. I'm telling it because silence is what they rely on. Years ago, I worked a graveyard shift at a gas station off Route 17, one of those stretches of road that feels unfinished, like the world forgot to add people. No houses, no streetlights, just trees pressing in from both sides, and a parking lot that disappeared into darkness after sunset. From 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., I was completely alone. No backup, no security guard, just me, a flickering fluorescent light, and a bell on the door that sounded way too loud in the middle of the night. People think loneliness is peaceful. They're wrong. Loneliness sharpens every sound, every shadow, every movement that shouldn't be there. Most nights were painfully quiet. I'd stand behind the counter, scrolling my phone, sipping stale coffee, counting minutes like they owed me money. The silence would get so heavy, it felt like the building was holding its breath. That's why when the door chimed at 2:17 a.m., my heart damn near jumped out of my chest. I looked up, and my brain refused to process what I was seeing. A man stood just inside the doorway. Tall, broad, mid-30s maybe, and completely soaked in blood. Not dramatic splatter, not a cut. This was wrong levels of blood. His shirt was stiff with it. Dark streaks ran down his arms. There were dried patches on his jaw like he hadn't even bothered to wipe his face. For a split second, my mind tried to save me by pretending it wasn't real. Like maybe I was hallucinating, like maybe if I blinked hard enough he'd turn into a normal customer. He didn't. Then he looked straight at me and smiled. "Relax, man," he said, calm as hell. "It's not my blood." My stomach dropped through the floor, because if it wasn't his, then somebody out there was missing a lot of it. I nodded like an idiot. I didn't trust my voice. Every survival instinct screamed at me to hit the panic button, grab the phone, run, do something. Instead, I stood there, frozen. He walked the aisle slowly, like he was enjoying himself, like this was just another stop on his way home. He picked up chips, a soda, paid in cash. Didn't rush, didn't hide his face, didn't care. Before leaving, he paused at the door and glanced back at me. That's when I noticed something that still makes my skin crawl. He was memorizing my face. The door chimed. He was gone. The second I heard his engine start, my hands started shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. I dialed 911 and whispered like the walls might hear me. I need police. A man just came in, covered in blood." The door chimed again. I looked up. It was him. But this time, the calm was gone. His face was twisted with pure rage. "Did you call the cops?" he shouted. I lied instantly, too fast, too desperate. No, man, I didn't." He vaulted the counter. Not climbed, launched. His hands wrapped around my throat and everything went white. I fought like an animal, scratching, kicking, grabbing anything. I felt warm liquid smear across my face and realized it wasn't all his blood anymore. I screamed that I had a gun. I didn't, but fear makes your voice do strange things. Something in my tone made him hesitate. He shoved me down and ran. I lay there gasping, choking, staring at the ceiling while the fluorescent light buzzed like it was laughing. The police came. They took statements. They promised follow-ups. Nothing happened. No arrest, no updates. The cameras, not recording. And life moved on. Except I didn't. I stayed. That was my biggest mistake. About 4 months later, another man came in. He didn't look violent, didn't look threatening.
He wore a perfectly pressed gray suit, expensive watch, calm posture. He walked straight to the counter and slid a photograph toward me. It was him, the bloody man. My chest tightened. "Have you ever seen this person?" the suited man asked. Every instinct screamed lie. So I did. "No." The man stared at me for a long time, long enough that the air felt thick. Then he smiled. "I know when someone's lying, and you're very bad at it." He left. After that, things changed. A silver SUV started showing up. Across the street, at the edge of the parking lot, sometimes idling, sometimes empty. Then I saw it outside my apartment. A week later, a rock came through my window. No note, no message, just broken glass. I quit my job, moved cities, changed routines. For a while, nothing happened. That silence was worse than the fear, because it felt like waiting. 8 months ago, I thought it was over. I was driving home late from work and pulled into a gas station. Same chain, different state. Same smell of fuel and burnt coffee. I fell asleep in my truck. I didn't hear him climb into the bed. I didn't hear anything until I was back on the highway and felt a heavy thud behind me. Then another. Then the rear window shattered. I swerved and slammed the brakes. When I turned around, a man stood in my truck bed silhouetted by headlights. I recognized the smile. He jumped off and vanished into the trees. In the truck bed, I found a black plastic bag. Warm. I never opened it. I don't need to, because sometimes the worst fear is knowing exactly what's inside. If you think this story ends here, you're wrong. Because the scariest part isn't what happened to me. It's the thought that someone out there recognized pieces of this story. If you enjoy true-style horror that lingers long after the video ends, welcome to Dead Whispers. Subscribe, because some stories don't want to be forgotten, and some are still watching.